nose all over like my.
Then we can pause. I'm gonna twist mine right now.
I'm twisting it too.
I'm really nervous. Hopefully we can get this up. This is very fancy. I'm just so used to like drinking this like so quickly. I don't actually look at it. I'm like, yeah, food, let's go. Or both.
St. Bernardus.
And
Belgian ale. This is also. I'm intimidated right now.
Okay. Are we ready?
I think we're ready.
Okay. Let's pop off. Let's see what I did there. Oh wait, mine's already ready. Are you good?
Oh fuck. All right, here we go.
You got it?
Yes, maybe.
3, 2, go. Woo!
So
A little bit of a different sound.
Appropriately, you are drinking champagne.
Champagne.
And I am drinking a giant, beautiful champagne bottle full of beer, a Belgian ale.
This is from France. And
the week we preview the SEC, that just hits different. But we got celebrating to do.
yes.
We have all sorts of celebrating to do because football is back. But this podcast has a sponsor. You're not drinking it out of the bottle, by the way?
Woo-hoo! No, I'm not. I have a cup. Actually, this is a Brewmate. So hopefully that's our next sponsor. But we do have a sponsor.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that's
good. And we are happy
no
to announce that we are partnering with
Municipal. So, we've been doing this podcast now. I was thinking about this. It's about the year anniversary, right? Almost the full year next week. Is it whatever it's going to be?
Yes.
It's been almost a full year. And of course, you start a podcast. A lot of people have podcasts. And it's like, okay, great. We want to do this. It's a labor of love. You and I have worked together a long time. But also, it would be nice to bring some along with us. And But also, you and I are very particular. Like, we want to partner with somebody that fits, right?
Yes.
We've joked about alcohol and sports betting and all those things. And what's really fun about Municipal, so it's essentially a clothing company that was co-founded by Mark Wahlberg. No big deal.
There's a movie coming out this week, by the way. Shout out, Mark.
No big deal there. And this is a relationship that started with one from my other life. College football and Golden Tee. And used to work with a friend, AJ, who was at Callaway, changed jobs. He and I kind of stayed connected. Say, hey, you're with this really cool company now. What are you guys doing? Oh, and hey, I listened to your podcast. And so somewhat naturally, Paige, which I love about this, because you have a community that we've built with the pod, and college football as a whole is like this weird sort of networking, but like naturally tailgating relationship in some ways where we are joined up with Municipal. So cheers to them. Cheers to us.
Cheers to us. Doing that. It's bad luck not to actually drink.
So, what I love about it too, because we're going to be getting gear. You know me. This is my uniform in life and in pod and at home is like, I'm going to be styling. And what I love about their gear, and I'm not just saying this because we're partners, is it's athletic gear, but it's also like, you work out and then you can go have a beer afterwards kind of gear. Yes. Right? Like,
it's inspired by like sports, culture, all kinds of things. So not just athletic gear. It's also transitional. So very exciting. We will have definitely more information about some of the things we're doing with them. They aren't just sponsoring it. We're not just doing ad reads. There's a lot of fun elements to this. We don't want to be boring. And this podcast is not boring.
No.
But yeah, I'm very excited. I'm honored that they want to work with us. And I think it's just the beginning, so very exciting. It was funny, I was reading like what their like whole company is about, and they were like, you know, they're all about motivating people and going for it and play big and inspiring people to overcome obstacles. And sort of like we've talked about, like this podcast started so quickly because it was
my God.
It was the start of football season. I was podcastless and we'd worked together for so long. We're just like, you know what, let's just do it. And we kind of just went big and started it and did it. So here we are. It's kind of a full circle moment for the No Punts Allowed podcast. So we're very excited. And what better way to start the season than with a sponsor?
I
Super
know.
exciting.
It is super exciting. And again, we will get you guys involved. We have some really cool stuff that we're going to put together fully over the next week. And then week one, we've got more announcements. And, if you follow us on Twitter, which you absolutely need to, there'll be some TikToking, I'm told. I'm a little petrified of that still. It's a space that you're determined to get me involved in. We'll see if it actually happens. So
yeah, TikToking is definitely in the cards. Let's just say if you know what an OOTD is, we're gonna get Kramer on the OOTD bandwagon.
I don't know what that is. I don't.
Outfit of the day.
Oh.
So
okay.
instead of people saying that, they say
I thought it was out of the non-office is what that was. Yeah. That's where I go. But let's talk football.
Yes.
We've got goddamn games this weekend. I can report some early reporting from Ireland. Neighbor Jason, who we talk about regularly on the show, has touched down in Ireland. I have already gotten a series of beer picks.
Yeah, I was going to say, is he what is he drinking? Is it Guinness? What are we doing?
It was some Guinness. It was a mix of things. There was some, I also saw, have you seen the field? He had tagged me in the stadium. Did you see that grass work? Oh, that is just feel good lawn management that they're doing out in Ireland. So the triumphant return of Picks and Pints at the end of this will be kind of our week 0 breakdown, largely because we have to preview the SEC and we have to talk about other stuff going on. So the first thing is, holy shit, football is back, week 0. But there's other stuff going on. Oregon and the Big Ten. Your thoughts?
I just think it's so funny because everyone was like, oh, the deal's done. They aren't looking to expand anymore. The Big 12 basically stuck up their nose at the idea of adding Pac-12 teams, and now the Big Ten and the Oregon Ducks are in talks to see if they are a good fit for the Big Ten, which, I saw this coming. I wanted to be attached to the Oregon Duck wagon, which is usually not the case, because I think this is an old adage, and if anyone's listening to this who worked for Bleacher Report, but ducks are smelly. That's what we say in the Bleacher Report office about Oregon Ducks. Ducks are smelly. But I wanted to be attached to them for this, and sadly it looks like they're just going to go, and that would be very detrimental to the Pac-12 conference. But I stick by what I said. I think by the middle of this season, the Pac-12 conference no longer exists. Old takes expose me later, but...
The part that's interesting in the Big Ten new $8 bazillion television deal is they have the carve out. Oh God, it's so much money. They have the carve out for Notre Dame. Basically, if Notre Dame joins, hey, let's talk. The deal really changes scope.
Yeah.
I think Oregon would be a really nice addition. It still would be odd. I mean, I'm a Big Ten guy. Getting used to USC and UCLA is going to take years. It'll feel normal eventually, I guess, because the sport is not going to feel normal at that point. We'll all just be different to it.
Yeah.
But you could do a hell of a lot worse than Oregon.
I honestly... not being a Pac-12 Homer aside, that's a great conference. If you add Notre Dame and Oregon into that, that's exceptional. Also, our friend of the pod, I guess, Elika Siddiqui, she is Ohio State fan, obviously, posted, and she lives in LA and was in Big Ten country, and I was like, that's so weird. It's going to take some getting used to. That things are definitely shaken up.
So that is happening, and you're right. To be continued. But the one thing that has happened, Nick Saban got a new contract. Now, here's the thing about this. This has become every 18-month thing, right? Mm-hmm. We're just, as the coaching contracts just get wild, Nick Saban gets more money. So Kirby Smart was the highest paid coach in college football for about a couple of months. And you knew Nick Saban was going to get paid. And the provision that I like, there's a couple things I love about this. You've got a long-term deal for a 70-year-old coach, which is awesome and deserved. Mm-hmm. And you essentially have a provision in the contract that says, hey, every offseason we're going to chat, seeing where the coaching market is. It's like this, it's really cool. For Saban, it's okay, Jimbo wins the SEC, is going to get $12 million a year. Yep, that's renegotiation time for me, which, again, is completely deserved. And the other thing, Paige, I will beat this drum. It is the greatest steal in sports. I know we're very sensitive to what kids make and what they don't make, more specifically financially. He has been worth billions of dollars to that school.
Yes.
$11 million of all the accolades. I was looking up some of it last night, how many games they've won, and he is a steal at 11 million. He'll be a steal at 20 million if we ever get there.
Yeah. I mean, it's hilarious to see because people are like, oh, okay, well, they re-signed him to the extension. It's also funny to see that there's always retirement rumors around him. I think that's kind of why they made it like a little bit longer than usual.
Yeah.
Just to be like 8 more years. 8. Yep. If you're Kirby and Jimbo, you're kind of like this is just exhausting. Like this man is never going to go away. He's going to be a thorn in your side. And as you see when we preview this conference, he's not going anywhere and his team's not going anywhere. Like you said, worth every penny. And very exciting for Nick and just also for college football. Because, I mean, as much as people are like, oh, I would love to see other, people win and things like that. Like, we've seen that. Don't worry. But it's more fun to watch Nick Saban come back and beat them the next year. That's really what I'm looking forward to this year. That's a sneak peek of our preview here.
We may have a problem with this beer page. Like the Cutwater episode was an infamous one for old listeners where was I? Orlando. And I had a canned margarita after a long day. And by the end, I could barely, with one canned margarita, could barely put together sentences. Yeah. I'm not saying we're there yet, but I got a ways to go. Okay. And
so I
could get problematic.
We were talking before the show and you were saying it's what, 10%?
10%.
So this is 12%. I'm drinking 9.5 ounces. For those of you that are not watching on YouTube, although you should be.
Yeah.
Veuve? I think it's Veuve.
I don't know.
Veuve Clicquot.
I feel like, though, not being able to pronounce what you drink is yes, absolutely in. Which I can't really do it with this either, by the way. Yeah. St. Bernard Dus.
What we need to work on is
our pronunciations are collectively really bad.
Drinking is good. No, also the episode that we both drank, I drank wine on the episode. We had like a full episode where I think we both drank wine.
We had a couple of around the holidays got a little weird. A couple in a row where it's
like in a row where we were just having a good time. So this
Full
one
season.
is part of it. We are having a good time, but we do have to talk about the SEC. Obviously, the conference of Nick Saban. We've had the conference of Paige, the conference of Adam. Now it's the conference of Nick Saban.
Yeah. So do you want to start with the alcohol since we're talking alcohol? I've struggled with this one. What? What?
I just spilled on myself. It's okay.
Oh, okay. All right. So if you're on YouTube, good luck. It's coming here for me too. So here's where I landed, right? Okay. The obvious thing to do would be kind of a Southern drink. And I'm going to do the obvious thing here. What's that? No, you go first then.
No. Just say yours. What is it?
It's a Yellowhammer, Paige.
Oh,
okay. It's a Yellowhammer because
your famous Yellowhammers.
My famous Yellowhammer. Can I tell a quick story?
Yes,
very quick
please
story. You know this story.
Yes, I do.
One of my first trips down to Alabama, I think I was doing a story on Derrick Henry for BR. I asked if I could do a story on the Yellowhammer, which is the famous drink down in Tuscaloosa at Galette's, which is an unassuming bar that's actually gotten really nice. So I met the owner, really good guy. We drank, we sat, he brought out one of these, and without giving it away, although next week maybe I'll give out my recipe for Yellowhammers. It's rum, it's vodka, it's what else is in it? Basically pineapple, orange juice, mix them all together, amaretto. And I had like 4 of them, and I could barely walk out of there for this story.
4?
They were they were delicious. And he's like, "You want another? You want another? You're not driving, are you?" No, I wasn't driving. And then I remember standing up, and I was like, "What have I done?" So a Yellowhammer.
Yes.
Back to this, incredibly good, incredibly potent. You're not you kind of know what the end destination is, which is like, you know how you're going to be feeling afterwards. And yet you go along for the ride. To me, that is the obvious, but where I'm going with the SEC this year.
I like that. I'm gonna go the classy version and go with bourbon. If
I
we're
like
gonna
it.
be specific about bourbon, I'll go Blanton's because it's my favorite.
Very good. Cannot go wrong.
Well, besides Pappy Van Winkle, but it's very, very hard to find.
Yes.
Although I did spot it last week at one of the local bars here, and I was like, oh.
Did you have it?
No, because it's $40 a shot. So I wasn't
Yeah.
really. I also was the DD that night, so that kind of.
It's not worth
otherwise,
it then if you're DDing.
otherwise I probably would have.
Yes.
The first time I ever had it though, I was in Mobile, Alabama, so I feel like it's an ode to Alabama.
For sure. Team Alabama.
Yes. So yeah, I would say the alcohol for SEC is bourbon.
Okay. So and I think that's appropriate too. So as a whole, we start with the alcohol that we go back to, which is Roll Tide, right? Which is Alabama. Alabama was, Nick Saban called it a rebuilding year. They finished runner-up in the sport in a rebuilding year. But I really think, I was thinking about it a little bit today, Paige. When you look at Alabama's season, it was in all these different chapters. They kicked the hell out of Miami. They were really good. They lost to A&M. That Auburn game was wild. They should have lost that game, and they would have been out of the title, but they didn't. And, Bryce Young made a throw. He didn't play great in that game. And then we thought they were going to maybe get the dog shit kicked out of them in the SEC championship game. At least I did. And Bryce Young was Superman. They had injuries to wide receivers. So much stuff happened to Alabama last year. And, oh, by the way, it was a really young defense, a really young roster. And now you kind of pay it forward and you by the way, load up in the transfer portal. It's remarkable that they were even in that position. Before I talk about this year, I'm still in awe that they were even in the title game. It doesn't feel real.
I mean, to be fair, you were the only person that thought they were going to get. I should say you were the only person on this podcast who thought they were going to get their butts whooped in the SEC championship.
Fair.
Again, I was still in denial that they were losing the national championship while they were losing in the national championship. But it's just a testament to what Alabama is as a whole. I also briefly, I want to talk about this because I did see it and you and I talked about this. If you've ever listened to any podcast that I've ever been on, you know that I love Najee Harris. And he's a Bay Area kid. Shout out to Bay. And he was on a podcast this week talking about his relationship with Nick Saban. And I thought this was such a testament to how good of a coach he is. Because Najee said that they didn't have the best relationship when he came in because he felt like he didn't understand him. He's the way he coached me, I just felt disrespected. And Najee mentioned that he left for 2 weeks during school and was I don't know that I can do this. And he said he came back, sat down with Coach Saban, and Saban really got to know him as a person. And he's from then on, we rocked together in Najee terms. And we saw the fruition of that relationship on the field because we saw him become the running back we knew he could be there. And it's just so interesting to me because I think, so many coaches have certain styles and certain players are good there and, the Alabama way and things like that. But I think when Nick Saban sees talent, he's willing to foster whatever relationship and change whatever strategy or coaching style he has to make sure, within reason, obviously, he's not going to change his whole way of being, to make sure they're in that place. And so, for example, I know he's talked about transfer portal before and wanting guys to stay and not transfer and things like that. But again, he's going to develop with the times and make the transfer portal work for him. And he's brought in all these guys to reload in a way that's different than just having that number one class or number two class in the country. It's just fantastic. I can't wait to watch it just go on for years. And just so everyone is aware, that contract is 8 more years.
Oh no, this is starting too. We go from Arizona to, I forgot what I'm getting into here.
Yeah,
with,
that I am an Alabama fan. It's fine.
So I've got a couple of thoughts.
Yes.
But the transfer portal work you cannot overlook.
Yeah.
Jahmyr Gibbs, the running back, I think could be. I think Bijan's the best running back in America. I think Gibbs could really become that guy. We are Team Bijan, but yes. Gibbs, from what I've heard and what I've seen, The way he catches passes, which Bijan does as well, like he's going to be amazing. Jermaine Burton, who was underutilized at Georgia, who we'll talking about in the sec, huge. The Also, Harold, the kid from Louisville, who apparently runs like a 4.2, huge. And then you go get Eli Ricks at cornerback. So the transfer portal work that they did is massive, massive, massive. But Paige, it does really boil down to two players, in my opinion. Bryce Young, who was incredible in his first year and will be better, and the greatest defensive player of our, I don't say lifetime. That's excessive. He might be. In Will Anderson Jr.
Maybe my lifetime.
What the fuck? That's Jesus Christ.
I'm sorry. You are not that much older than me. Maybe by how many years older than you are?
I think like 8 years. 7 or 8 years. But
7 or 8.
Point taken. Really good. There is, if you like Will Anderson, by the way, stay tuned.
Oh yeah.
Just saying. Just saying.
That's a big hit. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Very, very excited about that. But that him, Paige, he is
him.
He is literally like, he is incredible. Like, it is rare for a player playing off the ball to do what he does. And it's just, I am in awe of the talent. Like again, to win the Heisman this year, I was pulling these, just looking at these odds. The defensive player winning the Heisman is like impossible. Will Anderson Jr. is now 16-1 to win the Heisman. He's the 4th selection on the board. That is crazy when you think about it. So I think that might be worth a sprinkle.
Are you feeling a sprinkle?
I'm thinking a sprinkle. Yeah, I was thinking a sprinkle. But so I just am excited to watch excellence, which is sort of what we do every year with Alabama.
Yeah, but we overreact when they're not as excellent as we expect them to be immediately, which is always fun. But
yes,
a team that I expect to be excellent immediately is Georgia.
Yeah. 15 players drafted, by the way, which is crazy. Like, how good was that defense last year?
It was painful to watch. Let's just say that.
Well, yes, for some of us. Those of us who picked Georgia win to the national championship. And Georgia, by the way, 15 players drafted, a ton on defense, some on offense. You look at like George Pickens, what he's doing in the NFL, like unbelievably good for the Steelers and was out most of the year. So they lose 15 draft picks, including their best nose tackle, Nakobe Dean, who lasted way too long in the draft because of injury concerns. Their running back and Cook and Pickens. Georgia should be really good again. I think the Stetson Bennett page is the most interesting part. We were at the title game. The last football we saw was Stetson Bennett really struggling in the first half. Is he going to get benched? There's like 5-star dudes waiting all over the place in the depth chart, and then he rallies. So he's still there. I wonder what version of him we're going to see. I don't think it's a given that he is the starter the entire year. I don't mean that as a knock to him. No. The depth is crazy for them at that position. So I don't know what we're going to get, but I think they're just loaded again everywhere. They've Alabama'd this thing where they're going to recruit so good that it doesn't matter who they lose.
Yeah, they have Alabama'd this thing, and he's really mastered that. The only knock on Kirby you could really make is his management of quarterbacks, and that is a little bit of a concern. As a bettor and just as a fan, I would be slightly concerned. Just because he is known for sticking with, I feel like there might be a part of Kirby that might stick with Stetson too long just because he won him a national championship. Because we know he tends to be incredibly loyal to certain quarterbacks, even though he should switch to, I don't know, Justin Fields. But, we will be able to tell that pretty early because they are playing a good team to start the season. So, it's not like they just have a cupcakes lined up. And also they don't play in the cupcake league either. So definitely time will tell, and it'll be pretty early that we figure out kind of what Georgia team we're going to get this year.
I need to talk about the tight ends, of course, which is what everybody is raving about. I don't know if people realize how absolutely insane this roster is. So our guy Darnell Washington, of course, who's 6'8", 6'9", is phenomenal. Brock Bowers was one of the biggest stars in all of football last year as a freshman. And then throw in Eric Gilbert, who came over from LSU, who was supposed to be the best of the bunch and missed last year, is back. Like like this is the craziest depth we've ever seen for that position in the history of the sport. Like full on. I don't know if people care, but I care. But again,
People
so
love
you got
tight ends. Thanks,
they do.
George Kittle.
Yeah, no, but like, yeah, shout out Iowa.
Oh, well, I was just gonna say.
Yeah, just saying. But so a couple things with Georgia that are hard to handicap. Saban always talked about like winning and then like the hangover of winning. I'm curious if Georgia has to deal with any of that. It may not matter because they're so good. This is like a rebooted team, and there's still a ton of talent there. So it's a hard thing to do because Paige, in terms of odds, and we'll make our bet at the end. It's a weird situation. You've got Alabama at plus 175 to win the national title, Ohio State plus 300, and Georgia plus 400, and then a gap to Clemson. So like people are buying them, which they probably should.
So I'm looking at their schedule. There's kind of some trap games in here for Georgia early on. So obviously they play Oregon, which is a game that they'll be fully prepared for. But if you look after, they play Stanford, okay, fine. They play South Carolina, Kent State, Missouri, then Auburn. Auburn and South Carolina are not teams you want to just be like, okay, we're going in, we're beating them. Auburn, maybe you can say that now. Before you couldn't. South Carolina, I wouldn't sleep on in this particular conference. I feel like they're what team were we talking about last week where I was like, they're gonna beat a team that they shouldn't beat. What conference did we preview last year?
Last week.
Jeez, last week. Oh, jeez.
It was Big Ten. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could argue that's pretty much all of the Big Ten. It's like Purdue's anthem.
Or all of the Pac-12.
Well, but I want to start like that Oregon game. I did a community piece, right, where we do. It's basically, for BR, people telling me what their gambling takes are. And somebody wrote in that they thought the deficit between Oregon and Georgia would be under 7 points, basically saying Oregon's going to cover. The spread right now is 17. Oregon's defense is no joke.
Yeah.
It is no joke. That spread is enormous. I don't know how I feel about it. Like, this isn't a pick or a declaration other than like, I think that game has more teeth to it than maybe a lot of people are assuming.
Yeah.
If Oregon can find a way to score and they're going to have new faces all over the place, like that game could get interesting fast. So
I don't know what's happening to me, but I might sprinkle a little bit there on Oregon.
If I had to pick right now,
I would take Oregon to cover.
I agree with you. I agree, but we got time for that.
We got time to marinate.
But the at Mississippi State and at Kentucky in back-to-back weeks, it just feels like that's like schedule TNT.
Yeah.
Like now it's Georgia, so it may not matter. But it feels like it just feels odd. Now
coming off of a Tennessee game too is always weird. So
weird shit's gonna happen there.
Yeah, and they're not at Tennessee, but still, yeah, Georgia's schedule.
So, Texas A&M.
Yes.
Why are you sighing? Because of the whole Saban thing?
I'm so sick of Jimbo. I'm sorry. I try and be so nice to people and just give them the benefit of the doubt, but I'm so sick of hearing about it. So sick of him being such a hypocrite. Like, I don't know. That just whole thing annoys me. Go for them. They beat Alabama last year on a field goal.
That's the preview. We should have stopped. That is
that's
the
all we have to
Texas
say about it. That's all I have to say about that. Like, Forrest Gump. But I know they're going to be good. I think Jimbo Fisher's a good coach. Beating Alabama by a field goal was their Super Bowl. I don't think that it gets much better than last season.
I think this season or in general?
This season. This next season.
So
with Georgia and Alabama being what they are.
The part of this that's interesting is they haven't announced a starting quarterback. Like, we have to start there. And I think Jimbo, this was today, said, "I'll know when I know." And his quote is, "I'm not putting a timetable on it." Now, I think he knows who it's going to be. Obviously, that's just coach speak.
Yeah.
They you've got Haynes King, who got hurt. You got Mac Johnson, the transfer. You've got Wegman, the really, really highly regarded, I think, 5-star kid coming in. That's interesting to me. The roster is starting to get an Alabama, Georgia look to it.
Yeah, for sure.
It's starting to get that look to it. The recruiting class is great. It feels a year early for me, though, right?
Yeah,
Like,
no,
doesn't it?
It's like, hey, maybe chill. And I also think that like again, like I said, when you have Georgia and Alabama in the situations that they are, like I don't think that you're going to be able to come out with those. I mean, again, you never know. They did pull off the upset last year versus Alabama, but that was a bad game for Alabama. That wasn't like, oh, it was Alabama's best and that was that. It was a bad game for them.
They lost to LSU last year. Like, that's bad. Like, they lost to Mississippi State. They lost to Arkansas. They lost to Mississippi State at home.
Arkansas. We'll get to that.
Oh, we'll get to Arkansas.
No disrespect to Arkansas.
No. But like, you're not paying Jimbo like $10 million. I am struggling on this beer. It is a fucking heavy Belgian beer, which is not my style. That has a great sound to it here. I don't know how good it sounds. Well, now it sounds like there's ants crawling into the glass. I don't know what it's. Oh, there you go. Yeah, no, that pour though was like world-class commercial pour.
Thank you. I've actually learned to perfect it.
Well, it's very good. So, not that though. That top squeezing was. So I don't know what to do with A&M, but in terms of odds too,
a good bowl, New Year's Six bowl, not a playoff.
Their odds right now to win the national title 25-1. That's not good enough for me. That's not good enough to me.
For you, just plain vanilla. Which I feel like Jimbo Fisher would be a plain vanilla guy.
I kind of like Jimbo. Like, I know the Saban beef, but you got to understand, those are two like West Virginia guys just like popping off. Like, him calling a press conference to just pop off and not deny anything, like, it was so dumb that I kind of like it. Like, it's him. It's like a road rage Jimbo. Like,
I like
that's
the
all
drama.
it was.
I like the drama. I just don't particularly. I mean, I'm obviously Team Saban. Like, I am Team Saban
for sure.
a number of reasons.
I just like listening to Jimbo talk.
I think it's entertaining when he talks about like sliced bread and like all of those things. Sliced bread on the internet, saying this. I think his little isms, because he doesn't, here's the thing, is like he just spews. He doesn't think about it at all. But yeah, I don't particularly love. Also, the Texas A&M fan base is a little strange to me.
Oh, it's a cult, and I don't mean that. I don't know. Actually, I can't say I don't mean that in a bad way because I don't know how that's a good thing. But
the good kind of cult.
Yeah, it's not. Let's see. They love them football. They love their football, and they're going to continue to get good. By the way, because this sport is now about how much money can you pay everybody, and they've always been good at that.
Yes.
And it's going to get more.
Now they're not opposed to paying players. Apparently, it's totally fine according to Jimbo Fisher.
It is totally fine. It's the collective page, not
the collective. Sorry.
Yeah.
That he said wasn't real.
Let's talk about LSU. There's so many interesting teams in the SEC that we have to like
give it their time. Yeah.
Do you have an idea what you're getting with LSU? Because to be honest, I don't. I don't think I know. I'll tell you what their win. What do you think their win total is?
Let me look at their schedule before I'll count it out. That's my favorite thing to do on this podcast is count it out.
And I will tell you then that this is perfect.
Yeah, don't tell me what it's set at. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
You are looking at an overbet. The regular season win total over 7 plus 105, under 7 minus 125.
Yeah,
so under 7 is actually
them a win against teams like Mississippi State, Auburn, and Tennessee, and those three are the ones that like that's fringe for me. I think Florida's going to be hot garbage. Sorry if you're like
I don't know what Florida. That's an even harder
I
team. We'll
think
talk
yeah,
about them in a sec.
I think they're gonna be hot garbage. Yeah, I think Tennessee and that Tennessee LSU game is gonna be a good game.
Okay, so Jane Daniels, you have, I mean,
I've watched
Arizona
him
State.
play.
You have watched him play. So have
Yes.
I. To me, and we mentioned it, I think last week. Like to me, a lot of talent, but a lot of untapped potential. Like as a freshman, you're like, oh my god, and I never think we saw him fully reach that
I
yet.
also watching him play, environment I feel like played a little bit of a factor in him not playing well in certain situations. And like, buddy, the SEC is not the place to make poor decisions because you will get eaten alive.
They
But I will say that I do have faith in Brian Kelly. I've mentioned this before, as all like normal, like personal things aside, in terms of football coach, excellent football coach. I mean, what's interesting too is that people are all of a sudden being so much nicer on a national basis to Notre Dame. And I think it's because we like their coach more now. And he's more of a likable personality. And nobody really wanted to give Brian Kelly the credit that he deserved sort of at Notre Dame. And I've always said that is that he deserved a little bit more credit for what he's done there. But I feel like, people expect it to sort of be a disaster, but Brian Kelly's good at what he does, and I think they'll win some quality football games in the SEC this year.
the positions that are really interesting, they have good skill position players. Noah Cain, who was at Penn State, who looked so good. I'm curious to see what we can get out of him because he was really good for Penn State, is there now. They have some really good, they have one of the best wide receivers in football. There's dudes there. Ed Orgeron did recruit quite well. You could make a case for the rest of it, but the cupboards weren't completely bare. They had a lot of people leave. Remember the bowl game? You had a wide receiver playing quarterback. Like it was a disaster.
Yeah, oh gosh. It's certainly going to be better than last year. That's for sure.
I just think it's going to take time, but I am curious because to your point, like Brian Kelly, however you feel about him and his dancing and his accents and all that stuff, he's just won. He's never had competition like this, right? But he's just won. This stretch of games, by the way, Paige, at Auburn, Tennessee, at Florida, Ole Miss, Alabama, at Arkansas, UAB, at A&M.
Yeah, that last stretch is where that over is going to be, you're going to be sweating it out.
Yeah, no, it starts off okay. And we'll talk about it next week, but the Florida State opener, like, I don't know what to do with that. You talk about two teams that are like in the middle of like identity crises. That is just that.
If I was betting that game, is there a line? No.
Oh yeah, it's 3. Are you? Oh, of course there's a line. I'm so glad you asked. It's 3. Last time I looked.
3. LSU -3 or Florida State -3?
I think it is. Hold on. It is LSU -3.
I'll take that.
Yeah, me too. I think so too. But
I had no faith in Florida State. Sorry.
Speaking of Florida teams you have no faith in, let's talk Gators.
Yeah.
You've already shit on them, so now I like Billy Napier though.
Me too. That's why I said sorry, Billy. I really do. I think he's the perfect person to come in there. I just think in terms of like what was recruited, not to say that there were like not great players recruited at Florida, but I always feel like with coaches, like you need to give them maybe a second year to really get their own people in, especially with like transfer portal now. I would say 2 years, normally 3 years. But this might be a little difficult of a job this specific year.
The Florida Open, you start with Utah at home, and that's a short line. And then you play Kentucky. I think it was 2 last time I checked. Hold on.
Only 2?
Yeah, Utah is the
Pac-12, man. That's just disrespect. That's straight up disrespect.
Utah is a 2-point favorite. Well, it's going to be a bazillion degrees. It's not an easy place to play. But then you play Kentucky. What?
Utah plays in the altitude. They're fine.
Oh, boy. I don't know what to do with that game either. You play Kentucky, and then you play South Florida. You'll win that. And then you play at Tennessee. There's some weird. not impossible, but certainly difficult games like that could make fan bases pissed off on that slate. So I also think where I struggle, Anthony Richardson in moments last year was like incredible. But I also think Dan Mullen knows what he's doing. Like we can look at that now and assess that however you like, and like wasn't playing
Quarterback-wise?
him. Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh well.
And what?
Yeah. Of course. I 100% agree with that sentiment.
So like Richardson was, he's 240 pounds. He could run. He could throw. He had some electric moments. Oh, there's a lot of pressure riding on him. Probably an unfair amount of pressure riding on him. I'm kind of with you in Florida. I think it's going to take time. But if Richardson is that guy that we saw in glimpses, then yeah. And if he stays healthy, they could be really good.
But also, oh my God,
Not
Florida,
really good.
give Napier
Good.
the time to do it. Like, please. Like,
He's
I
recruiting
beg
well.
every podcast. I always beg, like, please let coaches have the time to implement the things they need to implement to make it their culture, their guys, their way of doing things.
It's also, you mentioned a good point. Like, Dan Mullen was not a very good recruiter, got clobbered for it last year. Go back to his comments.
For admitting it openly that he was not recruiting actively.
Yeah. So I think that's going to be a really interesting team. Utah is I can't wait to break down that game. I can't wait to break down that game. All right. I want you to pick one team.
Okay.
Kentucky, Arkansas, or Ole Miss. I wrote this question, by the way. Really? Now, I should be more specific. Most wins or best team? Because this is important, right?
All right. Well, now I have to look up schedule.
You don't have to go No.
No. We do. Let's just do it.
Arkansas' schedule sucks.
Oh.
It's terrible.
Oh, man.
The schedule?
Yeah.
So Cincinnati,
Wow.
I think they win that game.
What's their win total? What's the Arkansas win total?
Glad you asked. Give me a second. Kill some airtime.
I got this.
I will. Hold on. I was on spreads. There's so many ways to gamble right now. God, I love it.
Okay.
Arkansas is 7.5. The under is -150. So the under is all juiced up because people are looking at the schedule like I am, being like, this sucks.
Yeah, but the back end of that's fine. But Ole Miss, you're gonna be good to go in the beginning, but you play luckily they have a bye between Texas A&M and Alabama.
This stretch of Arkansas at A&M, Alabama, at Mississippi State, at BYU, that's just like, yeah. Even BYU and Mississippi State are like no bueno.
Yeah.
Like they can win. They should win both of those games, but that is tough.
Yeah, Ole Miss's schedule is not anything to. In terms of more wins, I would take.
You want the Ole Miss win total?
Yeah.
Ole Miss is 7.5 over -145. So Ole Miss has got a bigger one.
8.
And then Kentucky is 8.
I'll take
Under
Ole Miss in terms of win
120.
total. I'll take Ole Miss in terms of win total.
I think I would too.
But in terms of like teams that I think can compete with like big, if they weren't back to back, then maybe. But I mean, wait. So you're telling me that Arkansas has Texas A&M and Alabama back to back, or vice versa, and so does Ole Miss?
Yes, and
talk about cutting out like that. Whoever's on the committee for this is just looking to cut the legs out from the middle, because those are like the middle of the pack guys that I would say, and like, you're just like setting those guys up for failure. You're literally not letting there be any sort of chaos. You're like, you know what? We want to protect Georgia and Texas A&M and Alabama, so we're going to do this. That's like the second tier for them, and they're just cutting it out completely by doing that.
The other team I should have included on this is Tennessee, because they've got a win total right there at 7.5, and the over is -170. Like, they opened with Ball State. Yeah, oh yeah. They opened with Ball State. They're at Pitt, which is interesting. Akron, Florida, LSU, Alabama, UT
One,
Martin.
two,
There's some,
three, four, five,
yeah, like I think the answer probably is Tennessee.
6,
There's some dog shit on the
7,
schedule.
8.
Yep. So you were
Taking the
so
over.
the answer, yeah. But
That's not even giving them like fringe wins. That's giving them like guaranteed wins.
1, 2, 3. That's a lot of guaranteed wins. 4, 5, 6. I have 6 guarantees. But Tennessee could be pretty good. So are we gambling?
Yeah, let's go gambling. As much as we love the SEC, oh no, we need to pick like, what's your bet out of the SEC?
Well, all right.
Well, that was kind of that sounded like Jimbo.
Alabama is, this is such a stupid bet, but Alabama is minus 145 to win the conference. Do we actually think someone's going to beat Alabama this year?
Oh God, no.
I know college, like minus 145 Bama. I know the competition's pretty intense. Like,
what's their national championship odds?
plus 175. So
Yeah.
it's basically like if they get through this, they're good. That's like what I get out of that. But yes, to me, it's very obvious. Alabama's win total, by the way, and looking at DraftKings was also very interesting because they had like, it was like the juiciest. I just looked at this. Hold on, not you, South Alabama. Alabama is at over only 10.5, but the juice is minus 300. So if you want to bet the over, which is going to cash because Alabama wins basically 12, 13, 14 games every year, you're in good shape. But minus 300. I don't know why they don't just move that to 11, but that's fine. So
next week when we do week 1 bets, we should also share. We should do a larger betting segment and share our like season future bets.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I've been.
Oh,
You know me. Yeah, I've been sprinkling for too long. It's not good. There's a lot of sprinkling going on. I've been writing about most of it over at Bleacher Report. There's a lot of sprinkling. Do you have a bet? Are you Alabama?
Yeah, I would take Alabama all day. I don't know that I'll bet them to win the conference. Maybe I'll parlay it with them winning the national championship too, and just make it spicy, and just cash in. But yeah, I have confidence in them winning the conference and winning the title as well.
Are you ready to talk about week 0?
Yes, I'm so ready. I was looking at the games. Ugh, so gross, but so good.
All right.
So college football.
Do we want to do picks and pints and week 0 just all together? Cheers.
Cheers.
To a return of picks and pints. Normally, and during a week, we like talk about the games.
I'll do one sip out of the bottle for picks and pints being back.
This will be a
You have to be so careful with champagne because it'll bubble up in your nose, and I've learned the hard way. So
that would be good content.
I didn't make producer Mac content to
just
clip out of.
Oh yeah, no, that would be great.
Nah.
So, okay.
Bets.
Picks and pints. Again, I have thoughts. I have done extensive research. Where do you want to start?
I would like to start with saying that we should not put our bets into the doc until it's like time for showtime. Because then I try to change it up and make mine different. You put yours in there a little early, and I was like, okay, I got to make them different. So I went a little crazy, which is fine. But that's where we start. But we should start with, what do we have first? North Texas and UTEP.
Like the game that, okay, so this is the only game that has a spread under a field goal, right? And it actually is a mildly interesting game. They were close last year. Both these teams had like up and down season. UTEP was like, remember they were 6-1 and then they lost a ton. North Texas was supposed to be good. It looks like the spread is now, am I reading this right? Even? I had North Texas at -1. I haven't bet it yet, so that's good to know for gambling purposes. I like North Texas. They have their starting quarterback in that Oon, who played last year. He was much better once things got going. Still at -1 on DraftKings. First pick and pint for me this year is North Texas.
I'm looking at that game, and I'm looking at the bet that I made, and I'm
And
looking
you're
at their schedule.
loving it?
And I'm looking at their schedule. Oh, okay. We're gonna flip this. So originally I put in here that I'm taking
Off
the
to-
under 55. We're gonna take the over. This happens to me every time. I try and be different. I always take the over. Why do I do this to myself? I'm taking the over 55 for that
You
game.
know, when you did this last year, it went bad. Like
Yeah, the
multiple
TCU
times.
one. Yeah, thanks for reminding me. It's
I-
not like
I'm
I've
just
forgotten. But yeah, I'm
One
gonna take
bet.
over 55.
One bet into the season, and have outsmarted yourself.
I'm just already going into my mode of always take the over. Always take the over. I love the over. People are always like, always take the under. I'm like, no. I enjoy the over.
Main course: Nebraska versus Northwestern. Why are you laughing? Because that is the main. I mean,
The main course.
I have a block party on Saturday. By the way, no big deal. We still do block parties, but I think it's at 2.
You live the suburban, midwestern.
Oh yeah.
Also,
It's
I just
gonna
want to tell everyone, because I was telling my brother this story earlier when we were talking on the phone, and I had my makeup done and I posted it on Instagram, and Kurt was like, "Why did you get all dolled up?" And I was like, "That's just the Midwestern in you."
It is. It is. It is.
I was like, "Oh, you really showed your Midwestern there." But
we get dolled up for weddings, which are rare these days, and then otherwise
see,
we
I'm
wear
in
sandals.
I'm in the prime of wedding, so
it's just the rare occasion of dolling it up.
Dolled up, but very
dolled
Midwestern.
up.
But
that is a very Midwestern term.
It is a Midwestern thing. But Jason's going to be very happy. I'm agreeing with you, and I'm taking Nebraska because I looked at the score of this game last year.
Oh, so bad. Northwestern was really bad last year. Nebraska found very hilarious ways to lose. Northwestern was really bad. So what will happen? If Scott Frost loses this game, by the way, buddy, it's going to be bad. I don't think they will. I feel like Nebraska fans are going to represent out in Ireland, and I think it's going to be happy. And last year it was happy in this game. Yeah, the score was, I think Nebraska had 650 yards in this game last year.
56-7. Also, I know only 2 people attending this game, and both of them are, know of 2 people attending this game, and they're both Nebraska fans. So I think you might be right about Nebraska showing out. I
think they're going to show out. Nebraska loves them some Nebraska. So, okay, so we are both at minus 13. Let me make sure that's the current. This line has come up, by the way. It was at 12 and a half. Oh, shit, I just panicked. I looked at Michigan. Oh, that's right. You know what's DraftKings? It's not DraftKings. Illinois. I want to talk. In Illinois, you cannot bet on teams in Illinois that are located in Illinois, in a sports betting app.
Is it because they think? Well, I mean, try living in California.
That stops me.
Yeah,
but yes.
But is it because they think that you'll have information on those teams that'll help you?
That is the premise, and it is very bad. Don't worry, Nebraska. You will have my financial support somehow, some way. Okay. This is the nightcap. Hawaii versus Vandy. What do you like, other than the fact this is a 9:30 football game? This is the degenerate special.
Yeah, it really
Week
is.
0, 9:30 at night. Let's go.
Hawaii's 5 hours?
7. Yes, for you. 7.
Hours.
Yes.
5 hours ahead. I, first of all, love Hawaii. I would love to see a football game in Hawaii. I considered going to the U of A one that was last year or the year before. I'm taking Hawaii plus 8.5, which is I'm gonna bet on them to cover. I don't think Vanderbilt is that good.
Well, it's up to 8.5. Wow. So, because when you said 8.5, I was taken aback. It's been at 6.
You're taken aback.
As a supporting teammate, I'm like, Paige, you sure it's 6.5? Because I'm a degenerate. No. So I find this interesting. I don't know if there's anything that prompted this. It's been 6.5 for a while. There's some Vandy steam. Uh, which is funny to say out loud. Vandy, like, get it while it's hot. This is a hard game. Like a lot of Hawaii left. Todd Graham, once your your coach nemesis, Todd
Former
Graham.
rival / Britney Spears.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That headset bad. They did not like him. So enter Timmy Chang, who's like a legend. If you're a degenerate, you watch Timmy Chang throw footballs all over the place deep into the night. I like the over here. I like the over. Both these defenses suck. Vandy has got to be better. If Vandy doesn't win this, by the way, it gets really sad because their schedule is so hard. Over 54, so that's come down a little bit too. Interesting. This line movement's got me a little bit freaked out. So I'm going to go over 54, and you're laying the points. Or no, excuse me, you're taking the points with Hawaii. Yes. Yes. Okay. Last one, we're going our separate ways.
Yes.
I
did it to myself again. Don't laugh.
No, but like, I'm thinking about last year at week 0, I watched Illinois and Nebraska play a football game, and it was one of the worst games I've ever seen. And you are picking like this is the most, even though Hawaii's playing, I think you're making the most degenerate bet of the weekend.
Because if this cashes, I'm going to be so thrilled.
Over your bet.
My bet is Wyoming, Illinois over 44 points.
Okay.
I always bet the over. I don't know what it is about overs. I'm like, you know what? This is going to be a game where there's a lot of points scored. Everybody's bad. And when I think teams are bad, I just think their defenses are bad. I don't think their offenses are bad. It's like I'm stuck watching the Big 12 over and over again. This
total is hilarious. These offenses were really bad. I have no comment other than I love this bet. I absolutely love this bet.
You know what? I could be a genius, or it could be just crazy.
No, you do you. Like,
I do like degenerate things. Like, I fully commit to being the degenerate. It's not like an act. I full on am like, you know what? Odds say that this is not in my favor, but you know what? That means somebody's due. Means you're due. Means you're due.
I love that I'm calling you a degenerate when I'm betting Utah State minus 27 against UConn.
That is ridiculous. Versus UConn,
Jim
right?
Mora. Yeah, Jim Mora's coming in. Actually a respectable name. UConn's still a disaster.
Former rival of mine as well.
Oh yeah, no. So I think that Utah State, they've got their quarterback back. UConn is still so bad. I mean, they're just so bad. I did this last year and just with these obvious ones, and it worked out week 0, and then it got weird from there. God damn it, Paige, we made it. I love week 0. So there are the picks. You folks will be involved in some sort of pick action where you can actually get stuff. If you can either outsmart us or outsmart yourselves, we have to figure out exactly what we're doing. But this is a show that loves its gambling, and yeah, we want to incorporate you into it, and we will.
Yeah,
thanks
we
to our
want you to
friends
give us your picks. Oh, I can't believe we buried the lead.
What?
You and I are going to be live on Friday in the Bleacher Report app with our friends at BR Betting talking college football. I cannot believe we buried the lead. That was huge. We will get you we will tweet it out before we go live from the podcast Twitter account, which by the way we're going to get better at, we promise.
I forgot to did you make your picks for that yet?
No. I know what I have to pick, what bets I need to pick, future bets, but I have not made them yet.
It's been a very busy week with all sorts of stuff. That's in that doc, right? I know we're playing this out on the pod, but yeah, I got a little nervous about that today.
Yes.
There will be no drinking on that,
no.
As far as visible drinking, at least.
No drinking. We'll stick to no drinking for our first BR app live. But if you do not have the BR app, download the BR app. We are going to be live in the BR app with our friend Natalie from BR Betting, and we're going to be talking college football, and I'm super, super stoked. We're going to be grading some of the stuff that their staff has picked for the season. It's going to be excellent. So I'm very excited for that. So we will be doing that as well. It's a big week for us. We've got sponsor, we've got BR Betting Live that we're doing in the BR app. The season starting. It's a lot of good things over here at No Punts Allowed.
This time of year, I really get to appreciate what I do. Like, not to make it weird, but I love that we get to talk about this every week. It's a lot of work and it's exhausting. So this is before the exhaustion starts to set in. This is where you have like full on appreciation that like even through Twitter, through the pod, through BR, like we fucking made it. Like this is prime time. Even the week 0 games that are they're kind of, it's kind of a dreadful slate. I don't know. In this moment in time, I will be right in front of my TV for that Nebraska Northwestern game, which will probably be bad, by the way. Most of the week 0 games last year were bad.
I love bad football because it brings Twitter together. Like that's the other thing is like CFP Twitter can be really gross sometimes, but it's a fun place to be on a Saturday, that's for sure. Also, I have this actually segues perfectly into random stuff we want to talk about. I have selected a Premier League team, so I'm an Arsenal fan now, and those games are played early on Saturdays as well. So it's just going to be a full day. Also, Formula One is back this week. Never been more excited. Also, this toast is to Daniel Ricciardo leaving McLaren because they don't respect him. They don't, okay? He announced today he's leaving McLaren. It was a mutual decision. For the Formula One fans that slide in my DMs and tweet me about these comments at the end of our podcast, thank you, because I really enjoy it. I know you've started Drive to Survive. You will get to the drama, but you should probably watch the race this weekend on Sunday.
I am trying. It's hard now. I'm like over like paralysis by analysis of what to watch and what to do, and football season does not help. Both on the work side.
I'm going to guide you in the right direction. Let's see what time the race is.
Is it on Saturday or Sunday?
Sunday. Well, so I watch qualifying because I'm a complete psycho about all of this. So let's see the times because in Spa, which is fantastic. Racing Belgian Grand Prix. Okay, so
I forgot Florida State plays this weekend.
Sorry, Florida State. Okay, so the race is at 6 a.m. my time. So it'll be at 8 o'clock your time.
Yeah,
on
that's
Sunday.
doable.
On Sunday, you can watch it at 8 o'clock. And I feel like maybe you should get the kids involved. We should see if they like it more than football.
I'm going to be probably pretty hungover from that Hawaii game, if I'm being honest. But yes. That is...
Hey, I've gotten up at like 4 o'clock in the morning to watch it. Let's see, what time's in Netherlands?
I do need to confirm. Hawaii is 9:30
I love
Central.
Hawaii time. By the way,
and
I've been to Hawaii a lot in the last 2 years, and I gotta tell you, watching sports there is the best because the late night games. So that I always go during the NBA finals, and it's on at 2 in the afternoon. It's the best because then you can enjoy your night, but you get to watch the game during the day. It's awesome.
Also, sneaky interesting game for me, week 0. This is my random stuff this week. It's just degeneracy. Nevada, New Mexico State. Jerry Kill is back for New Mexico State coaching. And the line is only 9, which has got me a little bit perplexed.
Only 9.
It's only 9. New Mexico State was really bad. And Nevada was really good, but they lost a lot of really good players. They lost their coach. I don't know if I have random stuff.
Talked about Blue last week. Oh, we have to talk about the golf news that came out today.
Yes. Tiger Woods. Okay, so this is kind of interesting. Tiger Woods and Rory are basically doing a show where they're going to be hitting into the simulator.
Yes.
Are you kidding?
All in. Sign me up. What? Also, the idea of Phil could have technically been a part of this, and Rory's just stepped into that role of being Tiger's guy. Next level for me.
And you see the tour today announced all these huge purses, and Phil in a weird way
stop it. Get out.
I'm not giving him credit.
You are. You're giving him credit. No.
It's poetic.
It's poetic in one way.
Phil, these purses are a direct result of live,
Yes.
right? Of course.
Well, but the changes to like the guys that are on tour for like you get a stipend if you are cut from a tournament to cover expenses. You get a minimum, basically like a league minimum, essentially for the PGA Tour, which is huge for guys paying for travel and going and doing these things and trying to be professional. It helps grow the sport in actual way,
I'm not
fake
defending
way.
Phil, by the way. I'm not defending Phil. I think it's
You're giving him
poetic.
credit.
I'm not giving him credit either. I see where you'd come from. Like, it's funny that Phil did this and lost everything. And as a result, like the guys, it's going to change on the tour for the positive for these guys that stuck with it. It's a little weird.
Absolutely. I would say I would thank Liv for that, not Phil Mickelson.
I agree. But it's still kind of wild.
And also, he's not going to reap any of these benefits because they're done with him.
Oh, yeah, they're done with him. I think he's done with them, too.
But also, to be fair, they kind of should have been.
Yeah, no, it's go time. But I am excited for the Tiger Rory.
Me too. I think it's going to be awesome. I think
television show.
Fan experience wise, it's going to be cool. Gives a little more access. Makes the game seem a little more accessible. Also, very, very excited for the Netflix doc that comes out this year. Oh my!
There hasn't been any trailers or anything.
No. Which, by the way, we need to watch the Manti Te'o doc. It's out now.
Yes, we do.
We need to. We'll talk about that next week.
I've heard amazing.
Me too.
Things.
People that I've seen that are like non-sports fans are like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened," and I'm like, imagine living it.
I am in. All right. With that, cheers, Paige.
Cheers.
Municipal.
Gracias.
Week 0. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
We're back. We will talk to you guys next week.